welcome to another episode of Entrepreneurs in Fuego. We're documenting the journey of amazing entrepreneurs. Brian Beal.
Pleasure.
Value Card Alliance.
Yes, sir.
You basically, I don't want to say you invented the trade, but because the Phoenicians did, thousands of years, but the way that you've perfected it, the way that you've approached it is incredibly unique.
It is. I'd like to say I invented that part too, but I didn't. I actually grew up in the industry, so I'm one of the fewest people, if the only person you'll ever meet, that's considered a barter brat. So because my parents did it before I did as well. There was a gentleman by the name of Mac McConnell who actually started here in the U.S., and I worked for him as well.
Wow!
So that's where I started.
Mark McConnell starts the business of trade as you have it in your model.
Yeah, the commercial barter.
The commercial barter, and you are learning at his
I
his
did.
lab.
I bought my first franchise from him when I was 17. So I kind of grew up with him through my parents, and then he talked me in. Instead of going to college, he said, "Hey, why don't you do a business instead?" And there I go.
It sounds to me like you've never paid cash for anything, that you've probably just bartered your way through life.
I don't know about that, but there is pretty much nothing you can say at some point or another that I haven't figured out and done a trade for somebody. Usually a client, not necessarily for me, but.
I was going to save this question for the last, but what is the weirdest trade that you've ever made? Or the most intriguing trade that you remember?
I'll go with the biggest. How about
Okay,
that?
how about that?
We had a gentleman down in Tucson,
Yes.
which was my first office here in Arizona. He started a housing development, and we talked him into trading all of his marketing and a few of his subs, but he had most of his subs already, but all of his marketing for the housing development, and we just kept feeding him advertising over and over and over and over again, and eventually we got an entire house out of it. So we were able to trade an entire house off to one of our clients. Most of the time we do like a down payment on a house or something like that.
Sure.
But
But an entire
house was a lot of fun. And then I did a yacht once in the Ventura Harbor. That was a lot of fun too.
Traded a yacht.
Yes, it was a land swap. We traded land for a house, or for the yacht, sorry.
Let's go back a little bit. Explain exactly how you work.
Okay.
What the model is.
The simple form of trade is obviously I give you this, you give me that, done deal. Mm-hmm. What we do is we add a debit credit system to that's very much like a bank. So now, let's say that you wanted to wrap your truck. Well, instead of trying to find a vehicle wrap company that wants to trade for an interview or advertising, you just simply give us a call. You say, "Hey, I need a vehicle wrap." We say, "Great, here's 3, 4, 5 options." You go out, you get your bids just like you normally would. Pick the one you like, and let's say the value of that's around $1,000.
Okay.
When it comes time to pay, 1,000 trade credits are going to debit out of your trade account, credit into his trade account. In a very similar manner online, like PayPal, but in a bank manner. So now he's got 1,000 trade credits, and he can say, "Well, I don't need advertising, but what I do need is braces for my kids. My wife wants to take a trip to Hawaii. We want to refloor our house." Whatever it is he wants to do with any of our clients, which nowadays are roughly 3,000 here in the Valley, about 450 in Tucson, 150 up in Flag, and about 32,000 through our sister companies around the country.
That's a lot. You've been busy.
Yes.
It sounds a lot to me like if you add what I'm going to is if you added the concept of Bitcoin to the trade. Sure. You know what I'm talking about? Because let's say the 1,000 credits that I receive from the wrap. Mm-hmm. What if that credit increases in value, right?
Sure.
I mean, not that it happens often, but maybe I'm just going perhaps too esoteric into it.
Yeah, Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies in general, a very different animal. And only in the idea that, yes, it's a whole new currency.
Sure.
Like ours.
Because you are creating currency.
We are. I mean, the difference, a couple of differences are we're not traded. I found what I finally equated, and it took me forever. I ignored Bitcoin and everything else when it first came out because it was just one more of those things I heard about, and call me old, but at that point I was like,
it's another thing.
Yeah, one of those things. But what I find is cryptocurrencies are more on the level of a stock market type idea for the younger generation. It makes me feel old every time I say that.
You're a baby, man.
But that's what they do. They're trading those currencies to try to create a dollar. I've not found that cryptocurrencies themselves are used that much at retailers. I mean, some of them will take them, but it's very, very rare in comparison to what we do as a trade exchange. And trade exchanges, I might be the largest here in Arizona, but there are thousands of us across the country and tens of thousands across around the world. So if you counted up all of the purveyors that we have within all of our different exchanges, there's millions. So in a cryptocurrency, the last time I've heard Bitcoin had less than 24,000 actual retailers
Correct.
that would accept it around the country. That's tiny considering the amount of publicity and size that Bitcoin has become.
And so, considering the size, let's say, of Arizona, and you are probably the number one.
We are the largest. Yes.
You're the largest here in Arizona. So, is there something that cannot be traded, or that is off limits, or that it's very difficult to find, or pretty much everything can be traded?
Well, anything illegal. We try to stick away from that.
Exactly, obviously.
Excuse me. However, anything with a low profit margin is difficult to trade. And the reason being, you don't want to take $1 in cash and turn it into $1 of trade. The whole point behind a trade and the benefit of trade is your markup, your capacity that you're creating there. So if you earned a trade dollar at 50 cents, and then when you go and spend it, you're really only spending 50 cents in cash. But if you earn that trade dollar at 90 cents, and then you go spend it at $1, you're saving 10 cents. So then it becomes, was it actually worth the time that I took to create that extra deal? Now, granted, my office does pretty much everything for you at this point, but still 10 cents. Is it worth it there?
Yeah, exactly. So if I need something, then I don't go straight to the purveyor of that particular product or service that I need, but I actually go to you, and you then provide me that connection. Is that
Depending on what it is. If you want to go out to eat, just go to the restaurant. You don't need to call me.
Okay. And by the way, restaurants make the best traders?
Restaurants are one of the most common traders because everybody eats. So,
precisely.
But the best, I would say, probably the most effective for a business is one that's a service-based, because obviously that's their time. So a doctor, a dentist, a lawyer, places like that, it's just time.
Okay.
There's no hard cost. I want to be fair to any service company. There's some hard costs, but it's much smaller than others. But if we were talking about Costco, they make an average of 3 to maybe 10% profit lines. It just doesn't make any sense. There's no value. And of course, I'm not going to lie and say I don't make money. I make money doing this as well. So we make a commission when people utilize a trade dollar, and that's usually somewhere between 5 and 10%. So, and all trade exchanges are like that.
What has made you the number one or the largest trader in Arizona? You granted, you've always been in the trade business, so you have a passion for it, I would imagine. But there's got to be, you have a competitive advantage. There are other people that are doing the same business that you're doing here in the back, but you have a competitive advantage. What is that?
I want to say my team and persistence. So we didn't start out the largest. When I moved here to Phoenix from Tucson, I had 450 clients in Tucson, or 400 or so. And then I moved up here, and we were one of 15 trade exchanges in town. Now we're one of 3.
Wow.
Maybe 4, but it just means there's one I don't know about. So there's it's pretty much 3 of us. And I think that persistence really came down to a level of customer service. Not to say that all of them didn't do their best to do customer service. We all just had a very different view on what that meant. Mine was completely based around the idea of, what do we have to do to make this trade work for you? How do we go out and do that for you? And I know as a business owner, you have no time to deal with it on your own. Correct. So I'm not expecting you to. Just tell me what you want. Let me go find it. I'll tell you what you have to do after that. So you have to say yes or no. That's pretty much what I need after that. Do I need to set up that contractor to come out and visit you? Fine. I'm going to set up that appointment. What do we have to do? I've literally stood in people's backyards with contractors without the client there saying, he wants a tree here, he wants a pool over here, he wants grass over there. Send me the bid and I'll deal with it. Because that's what it takes. And as we got bigger and bigger and bigger, we didn't veer away from that. In many cases, a business will do that. When a business gets large, that beginning core that they started with of customer service, it changes based on the size, because they can't come to the time. They don't have the same amount of time when they had 200 clients to when they have 3,000 clients to deal with. Correct. So it adjusts. Now, did ours just a little? Sure. Before I would make your reservations to go to that restaurant. Now I'm probably going to give you the phone number to make the reservations there. But when the deals are correct, like I've got to go stand in the backyard to do a $50,000 landscape job, well, that's what we're going to go do because that's what it takes to get it done.
Yes, and it has changed in,
Sure.
in how it's perceived because you've grown, and your customer service is not just lip service because you are there. I know you're there
I
because you
appreciate
follow
that.
up with me all the time.
I
man.
do. I'm
I
gonna.
tell you, man, you're in it, and that persistency that you're talking about, again, it's palpable. It's there. Your passion is there. You're doing a tremendous job, man.
Well, I appreciate that. I have a great team. I would like to say it's all me, but I would be lying if I did.
How many people in your team?
15.
15.
Yes.
That's a big team.
Yeah.
With that, we're out.